We're all situated and ready for today's podcast. I'm so excited to dive into this topic because this is going to be another life-changing topic. And as we go through the podcast, I'm diving into like the energetics of the body and how the body's communicating with you. And we've already in the previous episodes talked about how the body communicates with you in general. And we've spoken about anti-aging and how aging is actually also a form of your body communicating to you and how you can reduce it and reverse it. And so today we are going to be talking about how your eating habits and how you nourish your body is also a form of your body communicating to you. So welcome to today's podcast. And we are going to dive in. And today I'm not going to be going live, so I have full attention for the podcast. And I'm just excited to dive in. So in today's podcast, we're going to be diving into nutrition. But we're going to be diving into nutrition in the energetic way. So how nourishing the body and how you decide to nourish your body actually tells more about how you feel about your life and what you need to shift in your life. So if you haven't listened to my previous podcasts, I suggest you go back to how the thoughts control your body and your physical body, the anti-aging podcast, and I will need to remember, but I will link them in the show notes. Those are ones to help you understand body reflections and what the body is trying to communicate to you. You can also go down to the show notes and look at the Manifest Your Dream Body Masterclass, where I dive into how you can shift your physical body through your thoughts and how your thoughts are actually shaping your body. Because this all dives into the law of reflections, where basically everything that is happening within the body or in your outside world is mirroring back to you what you need to shift energetically and emotionally, because the universe and your body is literally communicating and talking to you and trying to get you on the best path for yourself. And your body does that in many amazing ways. So your body is basically like a car giving off signals. So your body is always trying to tell you when something is out of alignment, when something is off. So for example, when we have a stomach ache or we feel nauseous, that could be because we are rejecting an idea. Or with a stomach ache, you might be responding to something that is triggering you from your past. So these are all kinds of ways that your body is communicating to you. And so today we are going to be diving into how your body communicates to you in the form of appetite, eating behaviors, nourishment of the body, like how you nourish your body, your cravings, and all of that jazz. So we're going to dive into all of that because your eating behaviors all have an emotional root cause, basically. So we've all had it before where, well, I'm sure a lot of us have, and I know I have for a fact, when I wanted to achieve my dream body, when I was working to become a bodybuilder or bikini fitness or like be on stage for my bikini fitness competition. The training was one part, right? That was one part of achieving the result that I desired. But for me, one of the hardest parts was nutrition and the meal plan that I was following, because we all struggle more with like eating right for our bodies than we do with anything else, because there is so much to nourishment and eating, and it also has to do with bringing us together and not feeling left out and all of this stuff. So when you're together with friends and family and you're at a party and you want to stick to your diet and you want to make sure that you're making the right decisions, it's the hardest part when you're feeling that peer pressure from other people to stay away from certain foods and certain snacks, or you want to stick to your goal and do all of that stuff. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper because, yes, that is part of it, but you can actually get more information about your eating behaviors and how you nourish your body than you think. And when you start decoding this stuff and deciphering this stuff, you will start understanding where the actual imbalance lies and how to shift that. Because the reason you're struggling with binging, the reason you lack appetite, the reason you are craving sugary treats comes down to something very different than what you think. So it doesn't always have something to do with you not being capable. It doesn't always have something to do with actually enjoying the foods that you're eating, and I'm sure you know that. But it comes down to something that is going on in another area of your life that is imbalanced. So we've got a couple of examples, right? I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you have experienced struggles with nutrition before. I know I have for a fact. For me, it was more me like wanting to control my nutrition and being afraid of eating certain foods because I was afraid if I ate those foods, they would ruin my progress or I wouldn't achieve my dream body. So I ended up in the gray area of an eating disorder. Some of you might be struggling with that. Some of you might be struggling with appetite and struggling to actually nourish the body. Some of you might even be struggling with like eating certain foods and having a negative reaction to them. So feeling nauseous or not being able to nourish your body properly. Some of you might be struggling with binging. Some of you might be struggling with cravings like sugar cravings, salt cravings. You name it, there are so many things going on with nourishment. And when you start understanding what is actually the root cause and how to tackle the root cause of this, that's when you really get down to how you're going to shift this and how you're going to get lasting results. And the beauty of all of this work is that not only will you shift your body because you're taking better care of your body, but you're going to be shifting the energetic, which means the rest of your life and the rest of the world around you is going to be better because you don't have that emotional or energetic imbalance anymore, or you have shifted it. So your vibrancy and your frequency is going to increase. So it's a double, triple, quadruple win when you start applying these principles. So let's dive into it. When you think of binging, for example, and I know a lot of us have that issue of overeating. You know that moment where you have all like, you're craving a snack. So you grab like a bunch of snacks and you put them all in front of you and you're just like, yes, I'm going to like just binge all of this food. Like this moment like that you can't stop eating. You just keep going because you want to keep filling that literal void. You want to just you want to nourish that body. You want to feel that, you just want to eat yourself, like gorge yourself in that food. And then after the fact, you feel so bad that you've done it, right? Because you didn't feel like it was necessary. Well, when you start understanding the emotional root cause of why you're doing this, you can start shifting what is actually going on in your life. So the emotional, energetic root cause of you wanting to binge or overeat is actually that you are wanting to fill a void in your life. So I'm sure, I can relate, when you're like, I know this feeling where like I was like either broken up or heartbroken about a guy. Oh, I remember with my partner, we broke up for a few hours and I was so upset. And I was like in this fuck it mentality. So I went to the shop and I grabbed like, they have these like they're the best here. Like, I'm not going to lie. They have these amazing like bags of like chocolate covered pretzel sticks, but inside the pretzel sticks, there's peanut butter. And normally I'm very controlled with my nutrition. I take very good care of my nourishment. And I don't like often like overindulge in foods. And especially back then because I was like more like nervous about all of that. So what I did, I grabbed that bag and I remember I was sobbing, I was crying. So I just started like gorging myself on this snack. I just finished the whole bag in one go. And you know that feeling also where you feel like it's never enough. So you just keep going because you just want to, and it feels good in the moment. Like, I'm not going to lie. It feels good in the moment. You just eat yourself silly from that food. But think about it. In that moment, I was so upset. I was crying so much. I needed something to comfort me. I needed something to fill the void of feeling so upset and feeling so heartbroken and feeling like I needed something to comfort me. I needed something to fill that void. I needed to overnourish myself in that area of loving myself through nourishing my body in an unhealthy way, right? To fill that void of being upset, being crying, not feeling the love. So when it comes to binging and when it comes to overeating, in those moments, what's actually happening is that you are trying to fill a void. And so I don't know, I think I've touched upon this in some of the other podcasts, and I go a lot deeper into this inside my Your Body is Magic program. But you've got 8 areas in life. So there's 8 areas in life, and you might not think that, for example, you feel like, oh, my career is on top of the world, my finances are amazing, and my relationship is great. So why would I feel like there is a void that I need to fill? Well, there are still other areas of your life. For example, maybe you are not taking good enough care of your health. Maybe you're not having enough fun with hobbies. Maybe you are not socializing enough, right? So even though 3 of the 8 areas of your life are doing amazing, maybe that one of the other 8 areas of life, you're being depleted and you're not feeling nourished, or you're not feeling loved, or you're not feeling like you're getting as much out of it as you would like. And so when you go down that list, I want you to think, am I feeling like nourished in all these areas of life? Or is there something that I'm lacking? When I go deeper, is there some area of my life where I'm feeling like I need to fill a void? Where I'm feeling I need to overcompensate to make sure that I'm feeling totally nourished in life? And when you go down that list, then often, you will find something that is causing you to feel the need to binge, to overnourish, because that's what you're doing. You're trying to plug a hole that you're feeling on the inside by eating, by overnourishing, by eating stuff that you enjoy, right? Because that will fill that void of not feeling enjoyment or love or fun or support in your life. So with me being upset in that moment when I was heartbroken, I thought I would fill that void of upsetness and feel better about myself or at least comfort myself if I ate that food, and I wanted to give myself that, right? That's something that I deserved in that moment, which takes me to the next part. So start thinking about how you nourish your body and why you do these things. And a lot of the time they come down to an energetic imbalance and something that you want to comfort yourself with in another area of life, or something you want to bring back into balance in another area of life. But because of these cravings, your body's actually telling you something that is out of balance. So with this binging, next time you feel like you want to overeat, I want you to take a second and I want you to take a breath in, 4 counts in, hold it for 2, and breathe out for 6. And I want you to repeat that cycle 3 times. And then I want you to sit and I want you to think, do I actually want to binge on these foods right now? Or is this to solve another thing in my life? Is this compensation for something I am not getting in another area of my life, right? And I'm going to feel like this is going to help close that gap. And if so, maybe start thinking about how you can actually nourish that area of your life instead of trying to plug the hole with overeating. And I promise you, when you start doing that, not only will the binge go down, but you will actually start nourishing yourself in other areas of life. And what will that do? It will make you feel better about yourself. Like your body will feel better. Your energy will be better. You will be more nourished in all other areas of life. So cool, Manouk, we've spoken about binging, but what about if I actually lack appetite? What if I actually struggle to get my meals in? because we always talk about like binging and these eating episodes and struggling with overeating. What if I struggle with undereating? Well, if you struggle with undereating, it has to do with a lack of appetite, right? With not wanting to nourish the body. So let's talk about lack of appetite first. Yeah. So lack of appetite. So you don't actually feel hunger, right? You don't actually feel hunger. You don't actually feel like you want to eat. Lack of appetite is actually your body signaling to you that you literally have a lack of appetite for life. Like you don't want to do fun things in life anymore. You feel like nothing lights you up, or you don't even feel like you want to go out there to enjoy life, to indulge. You don't feel like you want to do anything to fill your cup, right? So I'll take the breakup example again, because we all know that feeling, right? So I know there's some girls, it's not me. Do I have that? No, I don't think I have that. I go more to the overeating type of situation, or like wanting to overnourish my body. But some of us, due to stress or due to being upset or depressed, we stop eating, right? We don't want to eat anymore. I mean, I felt it before where I have felt that way, but think about that. When you're in that moment where you're heartbroken or super stressed, or you don't feel the need to nourish your body anymore. You don't feel the appetite. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to cook a meal. You don't feel like eating anything. Nothing is piquing your interest in food. Think about the emotional state you're in right before then, or right around that moment. When you think about that, a lot of the time, what will come up is that you are actually not excited about life. Like you didn't really want to do anything. Like, for example, if you've just gone through a breakup and you're very upset and you stop eating because you're so upset, it's because you feel like nothing else is going to light you up anymore. So you kind of feel like you lack appetite for life, right? So it's really interesting when you start diving into this, because then you're like, oh my God. So your hunger links with your hunger for life. Super cool. So when you go down this list, you start realizing that it actually has nothing to do with like you, yes, in a way, lacking control around nutrition or struggling to get your nutrients right. It's actually your body reflecting to you that you are struggling in other areas of life. And so, yeah, it could have to do with lack of control, because, for example, with me, I used to struggle with OCD, and that transferred into my nutrition. And so I tried to gain some control over my life through nutrition. But it always has to do with something outside of life. It doesn't have to do with the actual food, right? So when you think, for example, now I want you to start thinking about this. Start like thinking about what could be going on in your life that is making you struggle with certain foods. So when you're thinking about, for example, desiring sugary foods, right? When you have a sweet tooth, I have a sweet tooth. I have to say, I love sweet things, but I don't have that. I used to have this urge to just want to eat sweet things. I don't have that as much anymore. But the reason, like, think about it, like, try to put the puzzle pieces together. When you struggle saying no to sweets, what could that be? What do you think those sweets give you? Right? Start thinking that. So when you can't stop eating sweets and sugary foods, that means you are not having enough fun in life. That is reflecting back at you that you're not having enough fun in life. So what do? You go out and you get candy, and you get chocolate, and you get a cake, because that's fun. You can enjoy yourself. You can overindulge yourself. Not only that, and that takes me back to me getting those like chocolate covered pretzel sticks with peanut butter in the middle. Oh my goodness, they are so good. That takes me back to that. And I felt like I deserved that, right? It was like a reward. So when you're struggling to say no to sweets and you keep overindulging in sweets, that means you feel like you're not being rewarded enough for the things that you're doing. You're not allowed to indulge enough in life and have fun in life. Do you see where I'm going with this? So with every single one, you can start diving deeper into what is actually going on with your body. And that goes down to the digestive system. That goes down to how you feel after you eat certain foods. That can go down to specific reactions to foods. Like maybe you don't even have an allergy. Maybe that's your body trying to communicate to you that you're rejecting nourishment in life, right? It goes deep into all of these subjects where you can start decoding why you're craving certain things, why you're struggling with nourishment in certain areas, why you're struggling with your appetite, why you're overeating, why you're undereating, why you're having physical reactions to certain foods as well. So let's take another example. If you're starting to eat something and you feel nauseous while you're eating it, like, or right after you're eating it, I'm sure we've all had that where we feel like, ugh, I feel sick eating this. Like for some reason, this is making me feel nauseous. You could be rejecting nourishment in an area of life. So you're not allowing yourself or your body, well, you're not allowing yourself to digest nourishment. You're not allowing your body to process nourishment in life. You're rejecting it. You're physically pushing away nourishment in life. And what I mean with nourishment in life is like taking care of the body, doing things that are good for your soul, doing things that you enjoy. You are just probably in the masculine energy where you're just getting things done and you're not actually nourishing and taking care of your body and doing things that you need for your heart and for your soul and for your mind. And when you start realizing this, you start realizing that all of this comes down to how you're living your life. And so when you start decoding even just how you feel when you eat certain foods, or even just how you feel when it comes to nourishment and eating and appetite and overeating, when you start decoding these things, you can start seeing where you need to start shifting your belief systems and your internal emotional energetic imbalances, because it's not like there's something wrong with you. Does that make sense? It's not like you just struggle with eating and that's just genetic and we just love to eat in my family and you know what I mean? Like it's not like you lack control in that area necessarily. It's more your body screaming at you that you need to address something, that there is something out of balance and you need to see what it is. It always has to do with emotions and imbalances in your life and in your internal life. And we all know this word emotional eating, but we don't, you know what I mean? We don't actually dive into what the actual situation is and what you need to like. It's great to know that, you know, you emotionally eat, right? Out of boredom or out of like, there you go. There's another example of me the first memory that I have of when I was like 10 years old and I was starting to get a bit chubby. And that's another interesting topic that, oh my God, yes, that's a topic we're going to go into next time. We're going to be talking about how, you know, weight gain in puberty and all of that stuff has actually nothing to do with like nourishment. It all has to do with self-image issues, but we're going to dive into that. I'm sorry, because that's just it's so interesting to me. But basically, I was starting to get a little chubby and I did love sweets and I did like all of that stuff. But I remember for the first time, there was like, we had this little pantry and I was living abroad. I was living in the Philippines. So I grew up abroad. I grew up as an expat when I was younger. And so we were living in the Philippines, like I said, and there it's very normal to have like a maid or a help in the house. So I remember going to the pantry and they had these like, see, I'm a sweet tooth, these like little like, I think they were koalas. I think it's the koala ones. They had like these chocolate, like in the center, it was like chocolate. It was like a biscuit with koala shaped biscuits with chocolate in the middle. And I went to go snack on those, and I will never forget because it stuck with me, and I think I have trauma from that. It made me very self-aware of my eating habits. And so the help, she came and she was like, "Oh, Manuk, you eat when you're bored, huh?" So it's so interesting because actually there was some truth in that. I went to treat myself on a snack because I wanted to have more fun. I wasn't having fun. I needed to keep myself occupied, and I probably wasn't having enough fun in life, in an area of life. So I decided to go snack on something to make myself feel like I'm having fun, like I'm doing something that I enjoy. And the funny thing is, like, we see these things happening, but we can't fully pinpoint what the message is behind what we're doing or what's happening. And that's the interesting thing, because when you talk about emotional eating, like I said, we all know it's emotional, but what's the actual emotion behind it? What is actually going on? Because if we don't actually know what we're trying to achieve with what we're doing with the nourishment. So for example, if you're just saying it's emotional eating to make yourself feel good, you're not getting enough information, are you? Like, what are you trying to make yourself feel good about? So, and how can you replace what you're doing right now with an action that will actually tackle the internal issue or imbalance that you are working through? Does that make sense? Because if you're just trying to make yourself feel good, then yes, in that moment, you're going to feel good, right? But if you don't know what you're trying to tackle or what you're trying to make yourself feel good about, then how are you going to shift the symptom of overeating if you can't even go to the core reason of why you're doing it? You can try another meal plan and try to stick to that, but before long, you will fall off of that meal plan because, again, you're going to feel like there's a void in your life because you're not having enough fun and you're not feeling like you're allowed to reward yourself. So there you go. After having dieted down for months and months, you're going to go back to that binging because you've restricted yourself and you haven't had fun and you feel like you deserve a reward, and you're going to be back in that cycle of overeating until you try another meal plan, and you're going to be back in that cycle because why? You haven't addressed the root cause of why you were overeating in the first place. So when you actually address the root cause of why you're overeating in the first place, and you start going, oh shit, I am actually trying to fill a void of not loving myself enough and not giving my body enough love. So let's address that issue. And when we address that issue, we can fix that. You won't feel the need to overeat anymore, and you can start nourishing your body, and your body will naturally start craving better foods because it doesn't want you to fall back into that cycle again, because you've addressed the issue at hand, and the body's like, okay, she understands what she needs to shift. Same with lack of appetite. You can keep forcing food down your throat and not enjoy that, and maybe feel sick for forcing food down your throat because you're rejecting the nourishment because you lack the lust for life, right? So you don't want to enjoy life. So then you're forcing nourishment down your throat. How do you think you're going to respond to that? You're going to reject it because you're not ready for that nourishment, because you haven't actually realized what you're actually missing in your life and what you need to adjust in your life right now to get the results that you desire. And if you can go in and be like, okay, I don't have an appetite right now, and that's because I don't have an appetite for life. So how can we shift that and get myself to feel like I have an appetite for life again, and then feel that hunger again? And the same thing goes, and that's one that I still wanted to touch upon that I forgot to touch upon, for under eating. So not eating enough or not allowing yourself to eat, right? When we talk about not allowing yourself to eat, that was definitely something that I struggled with. It often has to do with lack of self-love, like not allowing yourself to be nourished, like depriving yourself of nourishment. Like, it's not that you don't desire the nourishment, you desire the nourishment. Like, lack of appetite is like you don't desire it. Not allowing yourself to eat has to do with you're not allowing yourself to nourish your body because you do not feel like you deserve it, right? And when you can address that root cause and actually start seeing how you deserve that nourishment and tackle that root cause of why you're doing this to yourself, then you are going to be so much better off. Because if you don't tackle the root cause, you can try and shift it with all the external stuff to make yourself feel better, but you're going to be back at square one in no time because you haven't gone down to the real core reason you're struggling with this. And that is the cool part about all of this. Like when you start understanding what all of this means and how to shift the internal, and as a result, you start shifting the external, it's literal magic. And we've become so detached from our bodies that all we seem to do is try to force the change by forcing outside factors onto us. But that shift needs to come from within, because otherwise you're not going to heal the issue that is at hand. And that is why I love this work so much, because this only started shifting. Like if I go back to all these times where I was struggling with nourishment and nutrition and all of this stuff, it all links up and it makes so much sense to why I was struggling with all of this so much. And this changes, because I know for a fact it changes, because I have done the internal work and I'm still doing the internal work, because this is something that you keep growing in and you keep expanding that internal work to keep upgrading, to becoming the person that you're meant to be in this life. And when you start realizing that you have power over everything, you don't have to restrict yourself anymore. You don't have to struggle through overeating and binging episodes. That's the word that I was looking for anymore, because you will realize that you don't need the binging episode. You need something else in your life to shift that behavior. Because you're lacking something other in your life. And that is the power of this work and understanding what your body is truly telling you. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. This stuff is seriously eye-opening. And if you want to find out more about what I do in Your Body is Magic, where we dive into all of this and so much more, and I actually give you tools and tips and tricks for you specifically to start shifting your body's reflections, or what your body's mirroring to you. So whether that be appetite issues, overeating issues, struggling with body fat, struggling with other symptoms in the body, and you can shift that to not only get the body of your dreams and decrease your age, but also step into the highest, most amazing version of yourself. Because that's what this work will do. It won't only shift your body, but it will shift your energetic field and everything around you. If you want to find out more about that, the program is linked in the show notes. You can also email me and get in touch with me at info@nukesfitness.com, and we will be diving into what will be the best approach for you. I've also got some amazing free resources to get started, like the free Manifest Your Dream Body Masterclass. My podcast, obviously. I've got a great visualization that is totally free to start stepping into your power and into your true self, and so many more things to dive into to get a taster of what this work is like and what this can do for you, and how you can start up-leveling and increasing your life so that you can step into your dream body, because you have the ability to achieve the body of your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because it's all about what your body is communicating to you. And if you can decode every single aspect of what your body is communicating to you, and you can shift all of that, you can achieve your dream body, because that's all your body wants, but it needs you to listen first. It needs to be screaming in your face to get you to understand what is going on. And that's what your body is doing. And I am here to help you step into that dream body and as a result, step into that dream life that you deserve to have. So that was today's episode. I am so excited to have you here. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode and leave a little review so that more people can find this. And I would love to hear what you would like to hear more about so that I have some more topics to dive into so that I can help you achieve your dream lives and your dream bodies. Thank you so much for listening.